Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure unboxing and review we're going to be looking at the Transformers Legacy United. This is Prime Universe Thundertron. So in this video, although I've quickly set him free from the back of that, we are going to open him up, have a look at the entire contents of the packaging. We'll have a detailed look at him in both of his modes to help you decide how you want to display him. We're going to have a look at his accessory and again how you can use that. Unfortunately, I don't have the original figure to compare him with, but I've got the other figures in the same toy line to have a look how he displays with them, and of course some other figures from other toy lines, just again to see how he looks and compares with all of them. Now, this is a Voyager class figure, so you do get the feel of that straight away. This is a nice big box, and to be fair, he feels quite weighty. Some figures admittedly have been quite small over the last few years, but this guy looks pretty good. We've got beautiful artwork there on the front, open window because he's in robot mode, so there's alternate, there is the full-size figure, or sorry, full-size drawing, and there of course is the bust on the top. Now we can see that he takes 24 steps to transform, and you've probably already noticed I've separately uploaded that tutorial video already. Right, as I say, I've already opened this as well. As I'm bringing him out, I would like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if they'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now, please. And also to thank In Demand Toys in the UK, which is where this figure came from. Right, let's just pop this up here. And this is really, you know, in hand, it is much more noticeable than what I've read. And even the designers, they alluded to the fact that this has got bit of an influence from Zoids figures. So for those of you who didn't really know, in fact they're back and they're making Zoids now as well. They've made a comeback, but Zoids was another really big, I suppose, toy brand, lot of toys. What have I done here? That was available in the 80s, and I may be wrong, please correct me in the comments if I am wrong, but I'm sure they might have actually taken up, I was going to say a B story, but they didn't. They had their own comic. They were that big at the time in the 80s. They had their own comic. Right, there is the figure itself, and as I said, it looks great. It feels really weighty. Again, I like the fact that they seem to be putting quite a bit of effort into the Voyager class figures. And as soon as I've said that, I spun him round and he's got a load of gaps. Yeah, totally wasn't expecting that, and surprised, as I say, by the weight of him. And I suppose that also confirms, which I tell everybody, that all my first impressions, which is exactly what these are now, are exactly that. I've not seen anybody else's review that's completely stunned me. He feels really heavy, but he's got huge hollow gaps in the back of the legs, and what looks to be, for a reason that I cannot work out because the fist won't fold in there, he's got huge hollow gaps in his forearms as well. Anyway, my get out of jail with this is, and this is with any toy company, is I'm not bothered, because you can't tell from the front. He looks great from the front. You wouldn't even know that they're there. So for me, not too fussed. There's his giant sword. The detail on him though is really, really good. It's got a bit of an Alpha Trion vibe going on there, I think, but full articulation, as in looks up and down. Won't spin all the way around because it's restricted, but you can again turn it left to right, look up and down. Shoulders, arms, wow, that's stiff, will come up. They get restricted there, but you can still pretty much get the T, I would imagine. Yes, restricted going forwards and backwards, but to be honest, more than enough movement. There is a swivel at the bicep as well as a flexion. The wrist looks like it's going to swivel. Yep, it is restricted by these claws. And again, that's going to annoy quite a few people, but I imagine there's going to be gap filler kits for them as well. Waist is definitely not going to swivel, because looking at this, that is all one piece, you can see there. Or does it move now if I disconnect that? No, not really. Hip skirts out to the side, which means you can kick that way, kick all the way up, and indeed kick back. Knee bend there, ankle tilt and rock, and I've read about this quickly. Yep, there you go, you can take that off. Apparently that was one of his things, even though did he not appear in an episode? I might have read that wrong. That was one of the things, that he had a peg leg, pretty much a full-on proper space pirate, but the expense of that means that there's no ankle tilt or rock. Overall, for me, as I say, for me, I think first impressions on him are great. I know a lot of people are going to be annoyed by the gaps, but for me, first impressions are good. There's loads of battle damage, there's scars on him, the tiger head at the front looks really good. You know, there's no real visible gaps at the front. Details look good. The bullet, this is reflecting, which is even better, and the color scheme is fantastic. Right, first impressions, I'm liking him. We're going to come back, see him in his alternate mode, then come back again later, back in robot, and see how his accessories, and if we can attach anything to him with all of these abundance of 5mm ports he has. So we're back, and as you can see, he's in his alternate mode. Again, apologies, no transformation process on this video. That is because you've probably already seen it is separately uploaded, so that keeps the main length of this video down, and it also gives me the opportunity to do it as a tutorial. Right, overall though, I'm sure you can tell it looks, you know, really good. I'm quite impressed with this, to be honest. As I said at the beginning, although I've got no real, as I say, actual experience with the original figure, or in fact, as I've double checked, he didn't appear in an episode, but he does look really good. With there got the Space Pirate logo on the back. The articulation, you know, with it being a beast, is really good, to be honest. The jaw, you can of course move up and down. He says yes you can. I'm sure you can. Yeah, it's very stiff. The mane, that part there, shouldn't have come forward at all. You can move at what is the knee and the ankles here. Now if you wanted to make it move a lot more, if you just slightly disconnect that, which you shouldn't, these should be held together for them, as I say, for this particular mode. But if you just lift it slightly away, you've obviously got way more articulation, way more movement, and you can actually take it away a teeny little bit as well. Now the hind legs, you can swivel at the knee, you can bend at the knee, you can bend obviously and tilt and rock on the one side. Remember, the other side is completely fused, but I don't know what the correct term for this is it like a beast former now or something rather than a transformer? But yeah, it's as you'd expect, and to be honest, as I say, we're getting quite used to all these different renditions of large cats. Obviously we've had Leo Prime, Cheetor, etc., and this again is no exception. It is really good. The only thing that's really interesting, and I don't understand why, is this part here actually detaches, because I did it by accident when I was transforming, but you can't, it's not as if you can hold it anywhere. I think they've missed a trick here by not putting like a 5mm peg on it, so it could have been like a shield or something. I mean, I don't know if it is supposed to detach, but it's, you can see where it obviously does, but it's not glued on or held in any way, shall we say. You can see it just clips over there. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that could be for something in the future, not too sure. Here is the sword, of course, which looks good, and this can of course port onto here, but nowhere else. I mean, you could if you wanted to. What I mean by nowhere else is you can't really hide it. You can port it on, I'm pretty sure, I'm saying that, you probably can't now just to that. No, you can't port it anywhere else. Maybe no, it's obviously not supposed to, and I don't know, I just think it's a little bit weak on the back. It's not, I'd rather it not be there, to be honest. I think with some things, you know, it doesn't have to have the ability to exactly that, you know, just to store it. Let's bring in some figures for comparison then. So to give you an idea, obviously it's a Voyager, so it is big. This is a deluxe class, of course, from Legacy, which is way longer, which you'd expect. Of course, there's articulation in the tail as well. Here is a Masterpiece Trailbreaker. So it's as big as that, if not bigger, to be fair. Obviously very different sort of scaled figures. A couple of others just to bring in to give you an idea. Like I said, it is a big Voyager class figure, and honestly it does look really big. Randomly enough, I've got another one here. This is the Kang Toys Crab. But yeah, it's a big looking figure, and I imagine that you're going to be able to attach loads of different things to that. There's nothing else though, as I say, to say really about the alternate mode apart from looking at some of the details on it. There is still all them gaps on the back of the legs which don't look the greatest, but once again, as I say, because it's at the back, for me it doesn't really fuss me too much. And again, with a lot of my figures, I don't really display them in their alternate modes. And let's be honest, if you're, as I say, a 7-8 year old kid playing with this, you're not going to be bothered at all about the gaps, and of course that is the prime audience for these. The head sculpt does look good. That is really stiff, and to be honest, as I say, if you've seen the transformation process, this whole leg comes out of the shoulder, which is really clever. But that's pretty much all there is to say about him in this particular mode. I'm going to get him back in robot mode, and we're going to stand him next to some more Transformers Prime Universe figures and some others, just to give you an idea of how big he is. So let's have a look at him again in his robot. Okay, then back for the final time in his robot mode, and again I think this mode just looks really good. So we've got his sword, which you can of course pop into his hand, no problem whatsoever like that. And again, with all the articulation that he's got in the fact that you can swivel everything, you can even sort of, as I say, swivel the hand. It's easier to swivel the hand with the sword in, otherwise it is quite yeah, restricted to try and get in and around on there. But I think the sword looks great. I mean, there's even lots of detail on it, and they really have not gone to town, but I think made that extra bit of effort. I think perhaps they have done with the how he appears from the front, with all the details and the battle damage and the scars, maybe intentionally to make up for the fact that he is surprisingly, as I say, hollow at the back, because he does feel nice and weighty. Now, I'm under no illusion that some other company will get some gap filler kits, but I know that's besides the point, and perhaps they should have filled them in themselves. But again, as I always particularly say, when he's standing there looking like that on a shelf, or even in, you know, posing him out, attacking somebody else, he looks great, and I can't argue with that fact at all. So I've just grabbed a couple of other figures, particularly just the Prime unit. I've just kicked over Dropkick, I think that's his name. You see, you can really tell that Prime Universe isn't my thing. I really need to get around to watching it. It's on the list of everything else. There's just too much I don't want to say trivia, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. There's so many cartoons, hours and hours worth of watching, of program times, etc. They all do look really good together, to be honest, and yeah, they're all unique in their own sort of way, even though they're pretty much exactly the same mold. I like the way they look, and as I say, I prefer the color scheme on him. But there is the figures with the Prime Universe ones. Let's just bring in some other figures from this particular toy line, even though, you know, Legacy is the same toy line, I should say, this particular wave. So here's, as I say, his Voyager class wave mate. Then we've got Deluxe class, and this guy's quite small anyway, to be honest. And I've got a few other figures here. I need to find the core class ones from this particular wave. I haven't got it to hand at the moment. There is a much smaller Deluxe class figure, which you can see. Oh, nearly knocked him over, but that's if you collect, as I say, mainline figures. Let's show you some figures. It depends on which other toy lines that you do collect. So G1 Originals, he's bigger than an Optimus Prime, and of course he's way bigger than Bumblebee, and I don't know why I couldn't see him there, but there of course is core class from this wave as well. Apologies for the reflection there, that's made it even worse. Right, so if you don't collect any of these toy lines, and this obviously they're not supposed to scale together, it's just to give you an idea of his height. New Age, Iron Factory, Magic Square, and indeed Doctor Wu. So you've got a brilliant, hopefully, idea there of just how he's going to look if you did decide to collect this figure yourself. But there really is not much more to say about him. I think he looks great. I love the fact again that they haven't gone, even though I love Generation 1, I absolutely love it. It's nice to be able to pick up some other figures and indeed learn a few things about them as well. And indeed it does intrigue me to watch the cartoons more as well. But I'm going to sign off on this particular video with that on him. Let me know what you think in the comments. And again, guys, if I miss anything out or mess anything up, because I'm not, you know, super strong on these figures, just let me know. Thanks very much. Take care.